Imagine being wrongfully imprisoned for years and finally hearing those words, "You're free." How do you react to reclaiming your life? We're diving into the powerful and emotional moments when innocent people, wrongfully convicted and imprisoned, are finally set free. We'll explore the incredible reactions of these individuals as they step out of prison and the immense relief, joy, and sometimes disbelief that follows their long-awaited freedom. You won't want to miss these touching stories that remind us of the human spirit's resilience. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. How would you feel if you were in their shoes? Let's get started. 5. Juan Catalan, a serendipitous alibi.
Sometimes I think about that because I am a big believer in karma,
in fate.
Juan Catalan's case is a striking example of justice turned by an unexpected twist. In 2003, Catalan was arrested for the murder of 16-year-old Martha Puebla, a crime he adamantly denied committing. The prosecution presented what appeared to be compelling evidence against him, including witness sketches and circumstantial details that painted him as the culprit. Despite this, Catalan consistently asserted his innocence, insisting he was at a Dodgers game with his daughter on the day of the crime. As his trial approached, he remembered being on television during the game, leading his lawyer to a crucial breakthrough. The lawyer discovered that Larry David, creator of Curb Your Enthusiasm, was filming an episode at the same Dodgers game. With this footage, Catalan's whereabouts were conclusively proven, demonstrating his innocence. This dramatic turn of events not only exonerated Catalan, but also highlighted the potential for unexpected evidence to overturn wrongful convictions. The twist came when Catalan's lawyer discovered that the episode of the TV show Curb Your Enthusiasm, filmed at the Dodgers Stadium on the same day, featured footage of Catalan and his daughter in the exact location he claimed to be. This alibi was crucial in proving his innocence. The case was thrown out, and the detectives involved were found guilty of coercion and falsifying evidence. Catalan's exoneration was a rare case where the right place at the right time, combined with a bit of luck, led to justice being served. 4. Eric Kelly and Ralph Lee coerced into conviction. In 1993, Eric Kelly and Ralph Lee were wrongfully convicted of the murder of Tito Marino in New Jersey. The crime involved a brutal stabbing at a local video store. Despite their innocence, Kelly and Lee were implicated based on deeply flawed evidence. The case against them relied heavily on unreliable witness statements and a dubious eyewitness account. Key testimony had been coerced, and the forensic evidence used to convict them was questionable at best. The prosecution's case was built on these shaky foundations, and Kelly and Lee were sentenced to life in prison based on this flawed and manipulative evidence. The injustice of their convictions highlighted serious issues within the legal system. It wasn't until years later that their case gained renewed attention. The Innocence Project, an organization dedicated to exonerating the wrongfully convicted, took on their case. Through extensive investigations, they uncovered significant errors and inconsistencies in the evidence used against Kelly and Lee. Their efforts led to the re-evaluation of the case, revealing that the evidence used to convict them was fundamentally flawed. Ralph Lee was eventually released in 2004 after spending 11 years behind bars. However, Eric Kelly remained in prison until 2018, having spent 24 years in prison before his exoneration. New DNA evidence was instrumental in proving his innocence and securing his release. The wrongful imprisonment of Kelly and Lee serves as a stark reminder of the flaws in the justice system and underscores the critical need for thorough, accurate investigations to prevent such injustices in the future. 3. Gregory Counts and Van Dyke Perry, a case of false accusation.
But they just kept going on. It's like a locomotive train that was going full throttle.
I got a lot to talk about. I got like 20, almost 30 years to talk about.
In 1991, Gregory Counts and Van Dyke Perry were unjustly sentenced to life in prison for a brutal rape in Queens, New York. The crime involved the abduction, assault, and rape of a victim in Central Park. Counts and Perry were wrongfully implicated due to the victim's mistaken identification and unreliable testimony. Despite their innocence, the prosecution relied on these flawed accounts to secure their convictions. The case against them was built on a shaky foundation of erroneous eyewitness misidentification and dubious evidence, leading to a grave miscarriage of justice. It wasn't until new investigations and legal actions brought their wrongful convictions into question that they were eventually exonerated. Years later, in 2017, the Innocence Project re-examined the case using DNA evidence, which cleared Counts and Perry of any involvement. The DNA evidence pointed to a deceased man, revealing the wrongful nature of their conviction. It was later discovered that the victim's boyfriend had coerced her into making false accusations to avoid paying a debt to the accused. The exoneration of Counts and Perry after more than a decade of wrongful imprisonment was a bittersweet victory, as the trauma of their unjust incarceration lingered despite their freedom. 2. Devontae Sanford, a wrongful conviction at a young age.
Did you hit somebody in there?
Yes.
Male, female, what?
3 guys, and I believe it was a female in the house.
In 2007, Devontae Sanford, only 14 years old, was sentenced to 37 to 90 years in prison for a quadruple murder he didn't commit. The murders, involving 4 people killed with an AK-47, took place near Sanford's home. The police coerced him into a false confession by using leading questions and feeding him case details. Despite his insistence on his innocence, Sanford's lawyer failed to challenge the false evidence and misleading confession, leading him to plead guilty. This egregious miscarriage of justice was compounded by the police's misconduct and Sanford's lawyer's lack of diligence. It wasn't until years later that the true perpetrator was identified, leading to Sanford's exoneration. The wrongful conviction highlights severe flaws in the legal system and the profound impact of false confessions and inadequate legal representation on innocent lives. The breakthrough came when Vincent Smothers, a hitman serving multiple life sentences, confessed to the murders for which Sanford was convicted. This confession, combined with advocacy from the Northwestern Center on Wrongful Convictions, led to the reopening of Sanford's case. In 2016, Devontae was exonerated and released after spending nearly a decade in prison. However, his reintegration into society was marred by further legal troubles, reflecting the long-term impact of his wrongful conviction. Sanford's case highlights the severe consequences of judicial failures and wrongful imprisonment of young lives. 1. Clemente Aguirre Jarquin, a case of mistaken identity.
I do know that nobody believed me back then. No one. Besides my mother, nobody believed me.
In June 2004, Clemente Aguirre Jarquin, a 24-year-old Honduran immigrant, was indicted on charges of first-degree murder and burglary. The crime involved the brutal stabbing of 68-year-old Carol Barris and 47-year-old Cheryl Williams. Despite his protests of innocence and his claims that he had found the victims and tried to help, Clemente was sentenced to death. His conviction was largely based on circumstantial evidence, including bloodstains and footprints that police claimed tied him to the scene. For 14 years, Clemente remained on death row, continuously asserting his innocence. His relentless fight for justice was finally vindicated when it emerged that Samantha Shell's daughter, who had a history of explosive behavior, was involved in the murders. Evidence revealed blood trails and a history of threats made by the daughter, leading to her confession. Clemente's case was reviewed, and with new evidence proving his innocence, he was exonerated. The day of his release was a profound moment of relief and joy for Clemente, as he was finally freed from the wrongful imprisonment that had plagued him for over a decade. The emotional reactions of innocent people finally set free are a poignant reminder of the profound impact of wrongful convictions. From tears of relief to the overwhelming joy of reclaiming their lives, each story highlights the resilience of those who endured years of unjust punishment. These reactions are a powerful testament to the human spirit and a call for continued vigilance and reform in our justice system. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the stories of these wrongfully convicted individuals. If you found these accounts as compelling and moving as we did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Share your thoughts and comments below. What do you think can be done to prevent such injustices? Stay tuned for more insightful and impactful stories. Until next time, keep questioning and stay informed.